Hi, so I wanted to talk to you about some seats. So we've upgraded our T5.1 to these really amazing super sport seats, as we like to call them. And they're obviously twin captains that have then been modified to have different backs. And I wanted to go through that with you as the changes that we've made, the things that we don't change, and how we make it all work together, and why I think they're just brilliant. Super comfortable, and why we'd go for the captain seats or why we wouldn't, and perhaps why you want to keep a bench seat or the double, and keep the practicality of then having the three up the front. So I'm going to get off this one. We're going to spin the camera around and then you can see what we've got and what they look like. But let's do that. All right, so here they are. I think they look amazing. But just quickly, apologies. We've had to put the windscreen cover on as much as we love the sunshine. We were getting quite a lot of glare coming through the windscreen, which was making the camera sort of blur out. So I wanted to just sort of blank that as much as we could. So yeah, let's concentrate on the seats. So these are two captain's chairs that have been modified with the Super Sport rear foams and then trimmed to suit. So if you look, they are a wingback seat, quite heavily bolstered, so you've got a lot of side support on there, a lot of shoulder support, obviously fixed headrest, and they are really comfy. The thing that we've done is obviously modify these T5 seats to suit the sports backrest. So the frames are all original T5 frames, so you will need to start with two captain's chairs in order to do this, and then we strip them down, replace all the foams, even the seat base, so the squab on the bottom there, that's all brand new, and obviously all of the foam inside there is all brand new as well. This one didn't even have armrests, and we've added armrests to it with some nifty little brackets that we've got, and obviously we've done the driver's seat the same, and then we've covered it with leather, and obviously this great, the GTE blue striped tartan, which I think looks brilliant. So yeah, they are T5 bases, and obviously being new, they also add a lot more support than what the original ones that were in the van did. But obviously if you've got a new van, then obviously you can keep that, you don't have to upgrade that bit. And we've continued the cloth around the bottom of the seat, and the reason we did that is if you are going to enjoy hopefully some sunshine and we get some nice warmer weather and you want to wear shorts, that piece, if you have it leather, it's going to be an area where perhaps your calves are going to be then on the leather. It gets warm, it's quite hot, you get a bit sticky. So I like the cloth in the center, but obviously the durability and the longevity of the material is best on the outsides where you then have the leather. And then, like I said, we've just added a few little details like the logo of the New Star VW roundel that's on there. But yeah, so the original base, and the reason why I think that's so important is because it's a van. It's not a car. When you get in and out of a car, you're stepping into the car and dropping down. You're then stepping up and out of the car to get out. With a van, you generally tend to pivot yourself around, slide out, and it's these bolsters that, particularly on the outside edge, which when that seat spun around, obviously it'll be this side on the passenger, and obviously opposite side on the driver, it's that side that gets all the abuse. Now, not only does it make it so you're going to wear the bolster prematurely, you're going to get cracking, you're going to get a lot of foam damage on their inside. They do have a frame on the inside of them which is metal, but obviously then it's surrounded in foam, and then obviously with your trim on the top of it. But it's easy to damage that. You won't notice straight away, but that continual use of you getting in and out, pushing that bolster down, is going to damage it. So this is why it's important that we've left the T5 seats as they are. I think it makes it so much easier to get in and out of the van by keeping the standard squab, which is this bit you're sitting on, relatively flat. so which is what they are. And then obviously all the extra support comes in on the bolsters, the wing backs, and then the fixed headrest. Still lumbar, so we've still got the additional lumbar support from the standard seat. So you can see the wheel is down on the driver's side there. That's still going to operate the lumbar section on there, so that's still a functional piece. And then we've added, like you can see just at the back there, a little pocket and some leather detailing and all that to the back to make that look nice. But like I said, most importantly, no aggressive sort of big bolsters on the squab of the seat, the flat base, to make it easier to get in and out. And the other thing that's really important as well, these aren't modified GTI seats. They aren't, you know, something from another brand, you know, which we've done. We have fitted sports seats from other vehicles into T5s, but inherently they sit badly. They put too much raise on the seat. They don't sit central. With a lot of car seats, they sit off center. So you'll either have to go through the expense of making different brackets to then centralize the seat again, or you're just not going to sit very comfortably. And that's one of the worst things you can do for your posture, is if you're not sitting at that steering wheel nice and square, like it was designed to be, with all the controls nicely lined up, your pedals nicely, you know, straight in front of you, your steering wheel nice and in front of you, it's going to give you really bad posture while you're driving along. If you're going to do a lot of miles, then obviously that's only going to get worse and worse as you're going, and it's going to end up, you know, with you arriving pretty fatigued, bad back and all the rest of it. So these are proper T5 seats designed for a T5, modified to make them look just a little bit more sporty. We don't have to do obviously the sports seats with it. You can obviously just do a normal retrim, something to consider, just to bring your seats up into, you know, just another level to make them a little bit more interesting, a bit more supportive. But I think these are great, particularly if you've got captain's chairs. They do look awesome. So there we go, just a quick little rundown of our sports seats that we've got. Right, so we just swapped over vans, and like I said at the beginning of the video, just wanted to go through the differences between if you really want a captain seat or if you're going to stick with your double. Now, a lot of the transporters obviously do come with the double seat and a single seat for the driver. So the double seat being your twin passenger seat. So they are really practical. Obviously captains can work out quite expensive, especially if you've got to then replace that double seat. The double seat isn't a bad seat at all, and it does have that flexibility of, one, you've got a really great storage spot underneath it, which I'll show you when we turn the camera around again in a minute if you're not familiar with them. They have got a lovely big sort of storage area underneath the base, so that's really handy. And of course, like this one, if you see, you can swivel it round, so it's now facing in the van, and that's really nice. So, you know, it's just as functional as a captain's seat. A lot of the reason why people moan at the double is they're not particularly comfortable as standard. So some of the doubles, and there's really hit or miss which ones you're going to get potentially, depending on if your van was spec'd with a bulkhead or not. Now, a lot of what we found, like late T5.1s without a bulkhead, have got a flip down back. So that means you can tilt the backrest down flat, and that opens up another little possibility of you know, having somewhere you can just plonk stuff on, use it like a table. We do sometimes put like a ply board on the inside of those, just to give it a bit more support. It's got a bit of card in there, but it's not great for, you know, like putting heavy items on, or if you want to stand on it. They're great if you've got a pop top, because then if you flip that seat down, you can then stand on that as like a little get up and into the pop top. So they're good. So with a ply liner underneath the material, then yeah, they can be really, really good. So like I said, we found a lot of those on late T5.1s and some T6s without a bulkhead, and the double passenger seat have got a tip function, so the backrest will fold forwards, but it's really hit and miss. So it really depends on how your van's been spec'd from the factory. This one didn't. So what we did with this one is we added the Vancraft tilt bracket, and that serves two functions. So one, it makes it slightly more comfortable because it puts a bit more rake onto the seat. So the seat is angled back a little bit more than what the factory angle is. And I think that's what people struggle with. The double seat as it's standard to fit in front of the bulkhead, which is predominantly how these vans get ordered, you know, as a van, you know, a panel van, bulkhead, double seat, single driver seat. They have to be quite upright. Just purely because of that bulkhead. You just can't get much lean on the back of that seat. You won't get much angle. So by removing your bulkhead, you can then open up your possibilities of putting a swivel on that double seat, and then putting the Vancraft bracket, which is great. So it's the best bracket out there for tilting the seat backwards. Adds a bit more rake to it, and you get a nice little lever which then unlocks the seat and allows it to tip like the factory one, so it will fold forwards. So they're really nice. I can show you that doing that in just a second. So I'm going to spin the camera around, and then I'll show you the seat from the looking at it, so you can see the front of it, and then I can go through what bits, you know, the double comes with. So we'll do that. So this is our double seat in our 6.1, and it's got our quick release double swivel base on the bottom there. As you can see, you know, they're quite a cozy fit. You know, you are trying to get this seat to turn around in its own space, so you know they do a pretty good job of spinning around. So you just need to move your armrests, drop the handbrake a little bit, open the door, and then obviously that'll make it a little bit easier. So the bracket I was talking about is this little device in here. So by Vancraft, you just replace this upright section in the middle. It's got a little knurled knob that you can undo, so it's like a lock-in mechanism. And then once you've undone that knurled knob a little bit, you've got a little lever. Push that lever down, and then that will enable the back of the seat to fold forward. And then, like I said, that will show you, or we'll show you now, it folded forward. Here we go. So that's just folded forward on itself. You've got a nice flat area that you could use as a table or something similar. Like I said, we've put a ply liner behind this. Quite easy to do. You know, just gives it a bit more strength to the top of this, so you could then put a bit more weighty items on it. Or if you've got a pop top, like I said, you can then get access a little bit easier into the roof of the van. So that's that. It's a little bit easier for me to show you it going back, rather than I didn't have enough hands the first time around. There it is, and then it just looks into position, as you heard. So now that's solid, so it won't move, and then you can just tighten up the locking mechanism just to make sure that that isn't accidentally pressed, so it would never fold forward on its own. So that's that done there. So I still think they're great seats. You know, I really like them. They're not as comfortable as a Captain's. Obviously, you're never going to get that because you haven't got the armrests on it. But its major plus point is this. So if you just lift the base up very slightly, tilt it forward, and that's it. You've got this huge area underneath it, which you can then store loads of stuff in. So we've got the awning rail handle in there. We've got the blackout curtains for the front of the van. You can still use it with the swivel base as well, as long as you're not putting anything that's going to get trapped in that cam at the very bottom there. Then, you know, things like what we've got there, you know, that they can't fall into that. So that's good, you know. So, and that's a massive, great big storage area. That just opens up your possibility of, you know, like just hiding stuff out of the way, you know, a couple of, you know, blankets, or, you know, spare clothing, waterproof clothing, spare set of sort of hiking shoes, whatever. So yeah, they're really good. And it's a lovely little hidden point, and that just locks in there like that. So that's that. So just briefly, I'll tell you about the seats that we've got in the 6.1. They are leather look. They're not vinyl, they're actually vegan leather. So before you think, oh, what is vegan leather? No, it doesn't smell like a lettuce, but obviously it doesn't smell like leather either. What it is a plant-based leather. So it's an ethical alternative, you could say, to leather. I still believe that leather is, you know, a good material for making seats out of. You know, it's very long very long life. You know, it's a product obviously from an animal, which is subjective whether you think that's a good idea or a bad idea. But obviously if you're using that animal responsibly, and you know, you then use the leather from it as well, it's a product that you know you would have perhaps, you know, wasted if you then hadn't turned it into a leather thing. But that's a whole different, you know, can of worms that we could open and discuss, you know, for quite some time, you know, the benefits of either or what, you know, and how you feel about it. But if you are opposed to it, or you don't like the idea of it, then this is an alternative. It feels very nice. If any of you are local and you want to come and have a look at it, I'd invite you to come down and have a sit in it, have a feel of it. It feels lovely. It's very similar in not only appearance but feel to Nappa leather. It's very soft. So far, you know, we've done a few thousand miles in this van now since we've put it in. It's wearing very well. It hasn't marked, it hasn't stretched, it's got no wrinkles or creases in it that you would think that you possibly might get. You know, you don't think it's as supple, but it is. It's very supple, and like I said, you know, this is not really the purpose of the video to talk about this bit, but it is another thing that we can do. So along with all the various sort of materials you can trim the seat in, obviously there's vinyl, there's then normal leather, there's Nappa leather, and now you've got this as an alternative to leather, which is obviously vegan leather. Like I said, it's plant-based, so it's a, you know, it's more responsible than say like a vinyl, which generally tends to be a high plastic content, whereas this does not have that. So it is a little bit more responsible than, you know, perhaps the others. But like, again, as I said, it's personal preference. So we've got all of them available, you know, for whatever might suit your needs the most. But this is a nice example of a 2+1 setup. Obviously a captain's on the driver's side with your armrests, and then obviously the double seat on the passenger with the swivel, so you can turn it around and just open up that space a little bit. And like I said, if you want to stick with the double, I think it's a very good alternative to the captain's, and you've already probably got a double in your van. All you need to do is add a swivel base to it, maybe the Vancraft tilt bracket, if that's something that you wanted to consider. Does make it a little bit more comfortable, but again, you know, that's subjective. You might find the seat comfortable enough as it is, but that is a possibility. And of course then it opens up that tilt function. Some of the seats which have got the tilt function from the factory do tend to be a little bit more comfortable anyway. I'm not quite sure if they are slightly different, if they have got that little bit more rake on them than the standard, you know, fixed back rest seat, but this generally is a little bit more comfortable for the longer journeys, and people do seem to, you know, favor them a little bit more, so worth considering. So that's your double and single setup. Yeah, so hopefully you can make quite an informed choice of what seats might be right for you. Please let us know what you think and leave some comments in the little section below, and we get to read all of those, and we'll respond. And if you do like them, please do get in touch, and we can put a set in your van. Thanks very much for watching. I'll see you soon.